So I'm really late to the game, but I recently got into HunterXHunter, and to be honest, my favorite character is Hisoka. He's such an awesome antagonist. His character design, his mannerisms, his fighting style serves as a great foil to our main protagonist, Gon. But he actually embodies one of the worst stereotypes of queer men, that gay men are pedophiles. So if you've never watched HunterXHunter before, let me give a quick summary. The story of HunterXHunter follows Gon and his best friend Killua as they go on different adventures. They're only 12 years old when the story begins, but they're both incredibly powerful and become more powerful as the story goes on. Depending on the adventure they're on, they face many different adversaries, but a constant antagonist in their story is Hisoka. Hisoka is introduced as the main antagonist in the first arc of HunterXHunter, but in later arcs he shows up as a secondary antagonist or sometimes even as a supporting character. Gon and Killua's goals vary from arc to arc, but Hisoka's goal is always the same: to fight powerful opponents. Honestly, it's kind of an obsession, and he purposefully pursues strong people to fight against. This interest in strength is portrayed in the manga as manifesting itself as a sexual fetish. The first time we learn of Hisoka's strange fetish is in the Hunter exam arc. This is the first arc of the series. Hisoka was still a bit of a mystery character, and it was hard to figure out his motives. Although Hisoka likes to fight and beat people, during the Hunter exam, Hisoka had the chance to beat Gon twice, but spared him in both situations. The first time he lets Gon live, telling him that he passed the test, supposedly meaning that Gon passed Hisoka's personal test to see if he is a worthy opponent. Later in the exam, the participants are assigned to steal a number plate from a determined opponent, and Gon is assigned to target Hisoka. Gon gets Hisoka's number plate, but is struck down by a different opponent and gets his number plate stolen. But Hisoka takes down this dude and gives the number plates back to Gon. Gon isn't happy that Hisoka is letting him off easy, but at the end of the exam we hear Hisoka speak with Irumi, and he explains that Gon is his prey and that he is waiting for his fruit to ripen, essentially saying that he wants to see Gon grow up to be a powerful enough opponent for him to enjoy fighting against. This is all fine and dandy, but as you can see, Hisoka's word choice and his mannerisms and the voice actor's performance clearly shows a more erotic side to Hisoka's obsession with power. In the next arc, Hisoka openly flirts with another member of the Ryodan, Machi. She's a woman, and although her face is quite childlike, from her body we can assume that she's a woman of consenting age. And yeah, Hisoka could be attracted to her for a variety of reasons, but it's made pretty clear that he is attracted to her because of her strong nen ability. In the next arc, we learned that Hisoka had actually infiltrated the crime organization Ryodan just because he wanted to get close enough to the boss. Hisoka joined the group just so he would have a chance to be alone with Kuroro so that he can challenge him to a one-on-one battle. We don't see Hisoka use any explicitly sexual language when talking about Kuroro, but clearly he is infatuated with powerful people and is particularly fascinated with Gon. In theory, this isn't a problem that Hisoka is power sexual, but Gon is 12 years old at the beginning of the manga. In the Heaven's Arena arc, Gon finally gets to fight Hisoka for the first time since the Hunter exam. And Gon has gained a lot of power since he and Hisoka last met, and Hisoka totally gets turned on. And I mean, like, wow, the voice actor really goes full out with portraying Hisoka's orgasmic experience of the fight. By the Greed Island arc, Hisoka is eyeing both Gon and Killua. There's this infamous scene where Hisoka walks behind Gon and Killua and stares at their little boy butts. The boys sense a strange aura and tell Hisoka to walk in front of them. Hisoka clearly has a thing for the Zorodik family, because later in the arc he makes suggestive remarks to Karuto, Killua's younger brother, who is also of course incredibly powerful. And later in the election arc, the Zorodik boy fetish continues as he asks Irumi, Killua's older brother, this is translated to, can I kill Killua? But in reality, in Japanese, the sentence means, can I do Killua? You could interpret do to mean kill, or of course you could interpret do to mean fuck. The Chinese character used here is the character meaning to kill, but Hisoka's hand gesture tells a different story. This hand gesture, which typically looks more like this, is a symbol meaning to fuck. The slight variation Hisoka uses might be to make the message more subtle, but also maybe to symbolize male-male sex. And oh boy, Irumi is not happy that his friend wants to fuck his little brother. So it's pretty hard to deny that Hisoka is a pervert. And although he is not explicitly attracted to children, because of young Gon and Killua's powers, his power sexuality made Hisoka attracted to these totally underage boys. I might be reading too much into this, but I think Hisoka's character design also has a lot of pedophilic imagery. His clown-themed clothing speaks to the stereotype of ice cream truck drivers and clowns at birthday parties and other businesses associated with child entertainment being child molesters. Hisoka is also pretty much the only character with a nude scene. He has two. One in the shower at the end of the Heaven's Arena arc, and another during Greed Island. I think it's interesting that his very pale and sculpted body almost makes him look like a Greek or Roman statue. And maybe this is an allusion to pederasty, a relationship system in ancient Greece and Rome where older men and prepubescent boys would form sexual, romantic, mentorship relationships. But Hisoka is a fictional character and an antagonist in the manga which, although many believe is for children, actually has a lot of violence, death, and other quite adult themes. What's the problem with Hisoka being written as a pedophile? A huge disclaimer, I do not condone Hisoka's predatory actions, and if you feel certain urges towards children, please go and get some professional help. What I'm trying to say is Hisoka is an antagonist. He's the opposite of pure and innocent Gon. He's meant to be a disgusting creep. But it's kind of a problem because pedophilia and homosexuality have a strange intertwined relationship. There were a number of psychological studies back in the 70s that linked homosexuality to child molestation, causing a myth that gay men are a threat to young boys. These studies have since been discredited, but many people still believe in them. And this is, sort of understandable, because if we think back at some of the most recent child sex abuse scandals, many of the victims were boys and the perpetrators were men. However, psychologists believe that this does not mean that the perpetrators were homosexual. Pedophiles are opportunists and will target children that they have easy access to. If we think about the sex abuse case in the Catholic Church, the majority of victims were boys because it honestly wouldn't raise a lot of suspicion if a priest had to spend some alone time with an altar boy, for example. This doesn't mean that any of these priests were homosexual. It just means that they were desperate creeps who would take anything that they could get. And it just so happens that it's easier for men to secure alone time with boys than it is with girls. To clarify, Hisoka is not gay. If we had to put a label on it, he's probably pan. The gender of the other person is totally irrelevant, just the person's strength. He's attracted to both genders, but his main obsession is with the two main characters who are underage boys. And unfortunately, in HunterXHunter, Hisoka is the only sexually queer character, and other shonen manga as well as just media that young boys might watch don't really feature a lot of queer characters. So I'm afraid that when young boys watch HunterXHunter and see Hisoka, this association of same-gender attraction and pedophilia is going to be reinforced. Let's discuss some interesting statistics. In a national survey from 1970, more than 70% of respondents agreed that homosexual people should not be teachers or youth leaders because they will try to get sexually involved with children. And many people believed in the myth that homosexuals will try to target children if they cannot get an adult partner. Thankfully, this number has significantly declined. But even in the modern day, this myth continues. It wasn't until 2015 that Boy Scouts accepted gay scout leaders. There have also been public figures like Kevin Spacey, who during the #MeToo movement was accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old boy back in the day. And in his non-apology response, he took that space to also come out as gay, as though that were meant to excuse or that had something to do with the fact that he molested a child. So what am I trying to say with this? Am I saying that they shouldn't have made Hisoka sexually queer, or Hisoka should not have had this weird pedo vibe? No, I don't believe this. I don't think Hisoka should have been portrayed as a different character. What I do believe is that we need more queer characters in media in general. Because there's so few queer characters, the few that exist unfortunately serve as a stand-in for the entire queer community and identity. This should not be the case. And this is true for other identities that are not as well represented in media. So please, Authors, mangaka, movie and TV writers, please write in more good, wholesome queer characters so this weird, queer, power-sexual clown is no longer a representative of the entire queer community.